Hi there, my name's David Fitzgerald. I am a co-owner and events director for a company called Lashings World, which is a sports-based events company providing events in UK and overseas, and I'm proud to be an ambassador of Macmillan Caring Locally. What do I think of hospice care and this unit in particular? Well, I mean, I've kind of been associated with this particular hospice for a number of years now, and maintained that sort of contact. I think what was important to me at the time and continues to be important is literally everybody, all of the patients that you meet and you come across and you see here, they are all treated as an individual person with respect. It's a real personalised touch, not just for them but their families as well. And I think when you're talking about palliative care and the patients and what they require in terms of from a quality of life perspective in those days, and tragically it could be some of their last days, whether it's sort of elderly people or even the young people, the patients are here. I think for me it's the personal touch, and it's not something that you're going to get outside of that hospice environment in hospital or whatever that may be. It's difficult to know, because one of the great sort of attributes of the staff here in Macmillan Caring Locally, in this hospice, and I would imagine hospices across the country, is that you don't really see any sort of adverse effects around how they're coping. If I was talking about myself personally, when I've lost immediate loved ones or immediate friends and things like that, the impact can last for you for such an extended infinite length of time, and that can come across to those around you. For the nurses in this and every other hospice, as I've mentioned before, they're dealing with and helping the patients here on such a one-to-one level, and then those patients unfortunately may or will lose their lives, but then they're going to be the nurses are going to be in that situation very soon afterwards, again in such a repeated format. So how they cope, the simpler answer is I don't know. All I would say is that I think if we go into any kind of trade, be it a plumber trains to be a plumber, or someone wants to do something within business and they go to university and they learn how to do all of those things. I think when you're talking about nursing, I think it must be obviously having that caring sort of mechanism must be in their DNA, but then to me when you're talking about hospice care, it's another level above. So I guess it must just be, I can only equate it to something around what the nurses have within their DNA, within their personality, within their emotive mechanism to be able to deal with this stuff. But I think it's something that a normal person like me, you just never know. You'll never know, because it's superhuman really, and however they're dealing with it, whatever happens behind closed doors, the nurses are dealing with it and they're coming back to work the next day. Became involved with Macmillan Caring Locally around about 8 or 10 years ago. Had two circumstances, situations, different ones, one from a work colleague perspective and another from a close family friend perspective, both where two people, unfortunately, young parents with families lost their lives, but were treated so well here at Macmillan Caring Locally. And when you think, particularly they were here for some time, very young children involved, and I think just the overall care, not just for the patients but from the family perspective as well, just sort of struck a chord with me. sort of being from Bournemouth locally, and also from a small charity perspective, I think it's important to support the small charities, and when you've got that sort of personal, the ways kind of touch you in those ways personally as well, through sort of circumstances in your own life and the people you know, I think that's what made it all come together, and sort of delighted to be an ambassador of Macmillan Caring Locally. Can only imagine it's impacted in a number of ways, whether it be funding. I think one particular way it will have impacted from Macmillan Caring Locally and a lot of other small, medium-sized charities as well, in particular as well, that I know of and work with throughout the UK, is sort of not being able to do events of any description, sort of not being able to have any kind of gatherings where, you know, we're reliant in the charity sector for groups of people to be able to come together, be touched by what the charity is actually performing year in, year out, and be looking for ways to contribute in order to support that charity. And a lot of that, as I say, does come to fruition through the medium of events, and unfortunately for the majority of 2020 now, and I can foresee it going on for a fair few months yet, that we're not going to be able to hold those events that we normally hold. Obviously you can see the impact on what staff are having to do. I'd imagine the extra work that is involved in terms of being COVID secure, which is, you know, vitally important. So there's all different things, but from my perspective, in terms of the area that I work in and how I would normally be looking to support Macmillan Caring Locally, I think what we're not able to do around events is having a huge impact.